Everything you need to know about Into the Wild, the author's note. Many people recognize Into the Wild from the movie that came out in 2007, but that movie was based on a book, Into the Wild, which came out in April 1995, and the book was based on an article by Jon Krakauer that was printed in January 1993 in Outside Magazine. Now, Jon Krakauer was asked to write this article about a young man whose decomposing body was found in a bus in the Alaskan wilderness in September of 1992. Now, the article got a lot of attention because people were curious about this young man, Chris McCandless, who was born on the East Coast to a pretty wealthy family, and he kind of walked away from all of that on this grand adventure based on some of his philosophies and some of the people like Leo Tolstoy, which we'll talk about in further chapters that he had read, that really influenced him and wanted to walk away from all the material possessions and expectations of the culture that he grew up in. He was college educated, had graduated from college, and from that point on, he kind of walked away from everything, his family, friends, and made his way west and ended up in Alaska. Now, the book is interesting in its structure because it's kind of like a mystery. It's kind of like a reporting. It's pieced together as it would have to be, because here was this dead body with no identification found on it, and the trail that led to that point had to be traced back. So as we get into the book, the structure of it is going to be quite interesting to talk about. And Jon Krakauer admits as much in the author's note that he had to kind of try to stay impartial and stay out of the reading, but it was so captivating of a story from him that he inserts his own thoughts and his own ideas into it as well. He's reflecting on, what is it that drove this young man to risk his life in such a way? What about the wilderness and how it has captured the American imagination, that kind of thing. So it's going to be a very interesting read that we kind of look at as a mystery as he kind of pieces and stitches together the story of Chris McCandless that ended up taking him from a wealthy family to being found dead in the Alaskan wilderness. He says in the author's notes, some people, walk away and are inspired by his story, while others think he was just foolish and way too into himself and thought too highly of himself and should not even get the attention that he's getting. So we'll see where we end up on the other side of this story and what our opinion ends up being as we talk about and discover the life and death of Chris McCandless.